Segment 3, Golden Black Live, and privileged to have Chad Q. Brown. Chad Brown on as our guest from. You got to kind of give us a thumbnail or an elevator speech of what you do, but I love what you do because you're getting into the deep recesses of organization and what it takes for individuals to perform at a high level from a behavior standpoint. I know that's not your elevator speech, Chad, but tell us a little bit about what you're about and what experiences you're having in your role.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Al. I'm excited to be here. First of all, I'm a Purdue alum, so
yeah,
bleed gold and black, and I'm the CEO of a company called Profile, which we started probably in 2013. We're a behavioral agency, and it's very unique because what we do is we do a ton of team building, is kind of how you would lead leadership development, but everything's based around behavioral assessments. Some people call it personality profiling.
Yeah.
We live around the word behavior, how people act in a given environment, what they care about. And really the whole goal is how do you improve relationships and retention, and how do you hire better? How do you really, I like the term we quantify subjectivity, because if you and I were to talk, what's a good leader? Well, that's we could talk for 3 hours on the characteristics of that, right?
Yeah.
But that's subjective on what that is. So, our software, we're a software and consulting firm. So we have a cool tool that has an app and you can see it on your computer, but to give behavioral assessments, which have been around a long time in the world of college and professional sports. But it's really a corporate tool that I was introduced to a long time ago that we've customized over time for the world of sports, and I can explain more if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm interested because it is putting data and measurable things in an environment that is like you said, it's a subjective environment.
Yeah,
when you develop that, and all things come from experiences or what got you into this, because. Sure. You obviously have performed and an athlete yourself, et cetera, but what got you to say, boy, this is something that really is different than sports psychology. It is, but it is something that needs to be not convinced, but you need to be able to make your clients understand, or get clients that understand the value of all this.
Yeah, no. So I played football at Purdue. I was a slow wide receiver back in the late mid 90s. And I played for Jim Coletto. And then I worked for Joe Tiller for 3 years. I coached college football for 10 years.
Yeah.
So basically my senior year, I became a student assistant after playing a spring for Joe. And Joe's like, listen, man, you're just really not fast enough. And but I love that he was the first coach that ever told me the truth. I really appreciated that. And then I kind of was an intern. I did a student assistant thing. They helped me get a job, and for 4 more years, I went to a little Division III school in Pittsburgh. I was in the Ivy League at Dartmouth. I came back right after Breeze left, and I coached for him again. And again, as a young guy, but like Kyle Orton was here, and we went to the Sun Bowl, went to the Capital One Bowl, and so. But 10 years, I have a decade of coaching college football. 6 of those 10, I was the recruiting coordinator.
Right.
Another interesting fact, I worked for Nick Holt at Idaho, who was Jeff Brom's defensive coordinator. So I bounced all over the country, moved every 2 years. I love the puzzle of people.
Yeah.
I got out after 10 years. My wife, Jen, is a proud, Frontier grad, and we love the community. We love them. And I got into sports technology when all of this analytics stuff started kicking in, and they hired me as a football consultant to help develop software for, football, the world of football. And Huddle wasn't even a thing yet. Yeah. And I basically went back to school. This company over in Illinois, it was about a $300 million tech company called LRS Technologies. They were awesome, and they did a lot of things, but they put me in sales training, they put me in management training. But they gave me these behavioral assessments in that process. I just never seen them before.
Yeah.
And I got this 30-page report back on me. And it talked about how I behave, what I care about, what motivates me, to make it simple.
Yeah.
And I just never, when you talk about self-awareness, I had never had real self-awareness.
Yeah.
And I was like, why isn't college sports using this? And I really started researching it. It was kind of my nighttime project of, hey, where is this stuff? And so Fortune 500 companies, I think 3 out of 4 Fortune 5s use, one of the assessments we use, but I mean, there's a lot of them out there and they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
But all the military groups use them and churches use them and prisons use them. And the more I research, I'm like, how does college athletics not have something like this if all the coaches talk about character and they talk about fit and, they use those terms, but it's really subjective going back to that term. And, coaches at a high level, they're pretty good at subjective. They're pretty good at intuition.
Yeah.
But it's still, and I will quote Matt Painter, recruiting is an inexact science. And so that piece of how people are wired was missing in our opinion. So I believed, if we could do a few things, we had a business. It had to work on this.
Yeah.
It had to be fast on a phone. It had to be cool on the computer. And then coaches don't have time. I was one for 10 years. And it had to be easy to learn. But our system is that, but it's, it's a little harder to master because it takes time, right? People are hard work, man. I don't care what, and we do, sports is our niche, athletics, but we do a ton of corporate stuff as well. Yeah. And at the end of the day, getting good, getting better at people was the goal. Our mission statement at Profile is to humanize teams.
Yeah.
And more for retention reasons, the transfer portal stuff that's going on. Everybody's trying to get better there. So we kind of, recently have kind of struck lightning in a bottle. It's been a lot of fun, but early, Matt Painter was the reason we got going. He had a couple, we talk about those 2 down years, the only 2 down years he's ever had. Yeah. And he was looking for answers, and we met. Like, he's 5 years in front of me. We never knew each other in college. Yeah. We met at a card game. The Athletic wrote an article about it back in 2018, and the rest is history. He was frustrated, and I said, let's try this thing. And he's a data guy. Yeah. So how can he wanted to give it to the Robbie Hummels and the Etuan Moores, but he wanted to give it to even other guys that were he wanted to understand. And so as we studied that over time, he's really built a really cool database to, why does he do it? He wants to coach these kids better. He wants to understand what they're about. It's not about a red light, green light, yellow light in decision making. For him, it's about how do we just look at the data and how do we adapt as coaches. And so it's been a really cool tool for him over 10 years ish. And the athletic department's been awesome. And so, but we've grown, and I've been a special advisor to the Dallas Cowboys for over a decade. We've profiled the NFL Combine. We have 6,000 of the top college and now pro professional football players. So we have Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Zeke Elliott and all these guys. And I bring up the Cowboys because it doesn't always help me when I say that. So people, it's like
it gets people's attention though.
Yes, it's obviously a big brand. But we work with a lot of college athletic departments, a lot of college basketball. I mean, Illinois and Wisconsin, Stanford has been a client for a long time. Providence, Ed Cooley out east. So we've been doing this for a while. We have a lot of data. The NCAA is a client. The NCAA has been using the tool for about 5 years to, again, to do all those things we talked about. How do you develop leaders? How do you use the tool to create self-awareness? And it's just, it's fun. It's positive. But sometimes people get nervous about it. And that's not the goal. The goal is to help people.
Yeah. Does the coach, and I'm going to use Matt Painter's example, have to have a certain, it seems to me, because he's talked about this publicly, about he shows what he is to all his guys. His guys throw it all back at him, and this is in recruiting. Do you find that guys or men and women in the sports world or in the business world have to have a certain level of, and self-deprecation is not the right word, but maybe it's self-awareness to be able to do this? I mean, do you get people that say, I don't want to deal with this because I don't want to show who I am, so to speak? I mean, how do you view that?
Yeah, self-deprecation is a really good word. I mean, we use the term all the time. You need a little humility. You know what I mean? Need to have gone through some tough things to really search for answers. Are there people out there that go, nope, not for me? Yeah, there are. And there are some people that are really good. I call them 1%ers. They're really good at hiring. They're really good at, over time and running businesses and things like that. But I think some people don't even know what it is. They know they exist, but they don't know the depth that it can actually, give you on people. You do have to work at it a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I think, we get a lot of different flavors. Some people want the data. Some people are a little nervous to kind of let their guard down. And I can get into why, but if you can navigate through that, it's a data point that I don't have. Do I want to do anything to be successful and look at all avenues? That's where I believe. I think some coaches say that, but not all of them explore every option. Does that make sense? Because again, as human nature, as we go back to what we know, we go back to who we are, it's hard to change behavior. We don't believe in changing behavior, but I do believe these tools can help you adapt to what's hard for you when needed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And it's interesting because you're not all your clients are $1 million coaches or $1 million athletes. I get that, but they have to admit almost a form of, I don't know, or even a level of weakness. I mean, and that's a hard thing for big time sports personalities or big time producers in the business world to admit. Is that a common thread, that they have to be able to at least let their guard down enough, or at least be willing to find out what that answer is?
Yeah, we find that, and I'm not let me start with the answer is absolutely yes. Sometimes people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
As well. So what I mean by that is there's nature and there's nurture. So nature is our genetics, that's who we are, right? But nurture is our teachers, mentors, environments, coaching, things that develop us. Does it matter? Heck yeah, it matters.
Yeah.
But if you've been nurtured in sports to yell and scream as a coach, that's what you do, because that's what I was always taught. I don't know of another way. That's one little example. And so the nurturing of the world of college athletics, there's really no university to coach. You know what I mean? And so a lot of the world of business, that's probably the biggest blessing in disguise with myself, is when I got out of the world of coaching, I went into business and got that training, and I saw a bridge. I was like, wow, they don't get the training that a lot of corporations get. And that's managing, is dealing with people. The world of business has more time. Sports, it's like, we got to go, we got to win now. Yeah. So they get so focused on they get so focused on process, transaction, versus slowing down, getting to know our people to retain, where business has more time. That to me is kind of something missing. And I'll back that up with a little story to kind of go with that. There was a general manager with the Atlanta Falcons named Thomas Dimitroff. He was a Bill Belichick guy. And when he got out of, when he actually got let go, but the guy did a really good job. They went to the Super Bowl. It was the Super Bowl that Brady beat them.
They blew the big lead, right?
Yeah, but he's the general manager of this team. He's a Belichick guy. He's fantastic. He wrote an article after he left the Falcons, and he talked about, if he was hiring a head coach in the future, the number one thing he would give that head coach is leadership development training. Yeah. And if you think about it, you go, wait a minute, I just hired, a guy making millions, and we got to train him on leadership. Well, yeah, because he was probably the defensive coordinator at a really successful team, or an offensive coordinator. The world of coaching is they nurture themselves. Yeah. But as far as the people side go, a lot of it is just intuition, subjectivity. So we just have provided this tool not only to help that, I believe in it. It's, obviously been used for a long time, but it also, this word of wellness nowadays is a can of worms. I mean, it's a broad topic. And, social wellness is a thing. What is that? It's relationships, it's retention. It's, how does my coach feel about me? How should I talk to somebody? How should I not talk to somebody? It creates an awareness there. And that's why I really like that tool, because it covers so many things. Yeah.
From a nuts and bolts standpoint, it's interesting, the transfer portal. You use that as an example, and where that could be about, because you've got to be able to make, it's a hiring decision, right? I mean, you've got to be able to assess somebody that, for whatever reason, wants to leave a school. You got to make sure he fits. If you're, David Jenkins Jr., they had to know
Yeah.
that he was going to fit somehow. And it was a swirl of other guys you were looking at the same time, et cetera.
Yeah.
How big is that? I mean, to me, your business, if folks will use it, and yet time is of the essence, you may have a very short period of time to assess somebody. I mean, can you help in that environment just because of what you bring to the table, or how do you help in that environment?
Yeah, I mean, this phone is the
Yeah.
key. Our tool takes 20 minutes on a phone, give or take.
Yeah.
And it's three assessments, and the transfer portal is speed dating.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
really is. When the final four hits, the pot is already starting to boil because people are impatient today. People aren't always educated. So well, maybe I should go somewhere else to have success. So people start to talk, and then it's like, okay, end of the season, I'm going to go make a change. Well, people transfer in there's a lot more than we do than just assessments.
Sure.
People transfer for selfish reasons. That's a fact. I'm going to go get my numbers. I'm not getting playing time here. Okay, sure. But I think the transfer portal gets beat up just because of that. People also transfer for unselfish reasons. This school's not a fit. I don't really, I went far away from home. It's just not what I thought it was right for me.
Yeah.
The major I wanted isn't what's here. The coach and I don't have a great relationship. Everybody makes mistakes. You know what I mean? It's fine. But the tool allows them to understand someone and accelerate the process 6 to 9 months to understand what someone cares about, and I can be more detailed. Is someone a type A behavior, more assertive? Is someone more extroverted? Someone very analytical? Do people care about, is it money, family, working with others, helping others? Are they motivated to lead? Are they not motivated to lead? Well, as coaches, we all want Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Well, where my pushback is to coaches is, all right, do the Bulls win 6 championships with 5 Jordans?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I've had people say yes, by the way.
Yeah, they might.
They
might have.
Right. But the majority of people go no. And I say, why?
Yeah.
Well, because who's taking the last shot? Who's screening for who? How's your locker room? How's your bench? Like, you know what I mean? Like we want these ultimate competitors, but the truth is team and chemistry matter, but it's hard to quantify.
Yeah. It is. And this is a topic. There's so much I want to ask, but I want to, because the segment's going to come to an end, but we will do this again. We'll have you on our high-end retainer. I think it'd be great to have you.
Oh, man.
I do want to just tell me about the nuts and bolts. If somebody wants to do this, and I want to do this, so
Sure.
I want to,
We'll do
on a
it.
personal level, I absolutely want to do this, but tell me about how they go about it, where they go, and also how that phone really, when you keep talking about that, what it is that shows up on their phone that helps them in this process.
Yeah, it's a www.profilebehavior.com is the website.
Yeah.
And basically you need to call us to set up an account.
Yeah.
Just send us an email or a message on the website, and all the information's right there. But there is an app in the Apple Store. There is a website that scales to mobile. You can do it on a computer, you can do it on a tablet, you can do it on a phone, but that's where everything is housed, right? And once you have an account, we just teach you how to send a link to somebody's phone, and then this database shows up, to see these things. You know what I mean? And we have a great staff. I have a longtime business partner named Dylan Marsh, who's our CTO.
Mhm.
He builds all the tech. He's built this thing to where it's very easy for anybody. I don't care what your business is or your team is. We've got a director of training. Her name is Shaylin Johnson. She played softball at Purdue Northwest as a Purdue degree, local girl. She and I and some of our other trainers, we kind of lead the charge on teaching people the system. And we have fun with it, but you can do a lot of different things with it. You can do it for yourself. Like you said, I want to do it. Like it's just self-awareness for you. Or can you, use it in hiring? Can you use it to better understand the people you work with every day? Alan is a lot of our coaches will, they'll be like, after they get done, they'll call me and can I have my wife take this?
Yeah.
Can my kids take this? And I had one coach call one time, and he was on his way to spring break, and he had his wife take it. He's an ACC head coach. And he said, Chad, he goes, I got you on speaker. My wife's in the car. Can you go over a report? And I was like, Coach, like, I said, hi, like, put me on the spot a little bit. So,
yeah,
but we can use it in a lot of ways to help understand each other. And so it's a cool tool. And the whole goal is to be positive, to help humanize relationships and teams and whatever you're trying to build out there.
Yeah, I think one thing you bring to the table is that level of confidence that just in our conversation that this is worth looking at. There's always trepidation. There's always things that make it challenging, but it's a fascinating thing. And like I said, we will talk again because we barely, at least from my perspective, I'm so fascinated at it really comes down to what makes people tick and what makes organizations work, and why do some organizations, Matt Painter, why are they a little bit ahead of the curve? And why do some others that have all the talent in the world in sports don't do it? Last question I want to ask though is about this year's basketball team. And on the surface, I mean, they're really good. We know that. They seem
that always helps.
It doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt to have Zach Edey and Braden Smith and Mason Gillis make 9 3-pointers. I get all that, but what do as you observe and watch this group? I mean, we're hearing all about this, how cohesive they are, how they understand one another, how they understand their roles. Is that all reality from your standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that team, it's and even look at the history to build up to this team. Matt Painter and his staff are amazing at finding people that are not these 5-star recruits that come here and win Big Ten championships and beat Indiana, 16 times in a row or 15-1 or whatever it is. I mean, think about that. What makes them is he really looks for detail orientation. He really looks for stability and longevity. He really looks for different characteristics that can make up the nucleus of the team. But then you may have someone that's different. And I can speak to, like, Carson Edwards was very different.
Oh, yeah.
Than the core. But when you surround, unique individuals with a lot of substance, a lot of team orientation, and a lot of detail, a lot of learning. And, maybe one of the 2 best things Matt Painter does is in his profile, I mean, he has patience. He can build this thing out, and he's amazingly detailed. He's highly intelligent, which is a whole nother topic. But then there's this piece of helpfulness. He wants to help people, where we've got coaches in our system that are high motor. It's more about leading people as their motivation. That's how that guy's made up. So it's built as like this stock that's growing long term versus going to Vegas and putting a little money on black. You know what I mean? Like that's how that team is built. So there's a lot more there, obviously, but that's what's been a fit for him. And as you go back, I mean, Robbie Hummel has done this. Caleb Swanigan did this. That's how far back he's gone with this stuff. Chris Kramer's done this.
Yeah.
He's learned a lot that it's never about yes or no. It's about how. Yeah. But there's certain things that definitely make up this core around him and what's been good for him, if that makes sense. So I appreciate you asking, but there's them having Zach Edey and those guys is pretty good. But Zach Edey's a backup at IMG, and Braden Smith's barely a top 200 kid. There's more to it, and obviously I teach coaches all the time. You still got to trust what you see, and you still have to believe. You guys are basketball coaches. You know who can play, but let's just show you with the tool what you can't see.
Great stuff and fantastic, fantastically interesting. And like I said, we'll do more. All right.
Appreciate it.
I want to thank Chad Brown for joining us, and also obviously Mike Carmen, Tom Dienhart, and of course Dick Satterfield and Mike Steele. Those are a couple of guys that need some behavior. It would be interesting to talk.
I know Dick well, so yeah.
Yeah, Dick's a great guy, and They gave some great analysis about where the Boilermakers are in the basketball court.
Oh, those
I wanna
guys are
thank the
awesome.
folks also at WLFI, Gordon Jackson and Mary, all the folks that put this together, our good friends at Triple X. I'm sure Chad in his time in West Lafayette, since he's a local guy, has been there a time or two, and State Farm agent Trent Johnson at trentismyagent.com. Thanks so much. We will not have a show next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Mung Chang is going to join us, Purdue's president. We're privileged to have him. We'll talk to him about college athletics and his role there, and a lot more to talk about
Awesome.
on Gold and Black Live. So have a great rest of your weekend, all. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right. Thanks, Alan. Bye-bye.